Working on No Fear today. Let's just turn it on, listen. Alright, whenever I hear that, no CPU control lights, no score display. We'll get to that in a second. This means it's booting into audit mode. I can just tell that it's, and the reason for that is fairly obvious. Look at the corrosion that's here. So the batteries have took a poop. And we have no score display, so we should probably check some voltages. Put my black lead on ground. Turn this guy on. So the orange lead should be like minus 115, which it is. And then the blue lead right next to it should be 12 volts off, which it's not. So there's the blue lead and there's the orange. You can see they're not 12 volts apart. And then the far right lead should be 60 volts or thereabouts, and that's good. So we are getting, and then there's also like, what's it, 12 volts? And maybe 5 volts too. Yeah, so there's our 5, and there's our 12. Right there, the gray ones. But mainly, these two are not 12 volts apart. So that means we're going to be working on the dot controller board, and we'll see if we can figure out why we don't have that 12 volts. We will also replace the batteries too. Before I go nuts testing transistors, I always like to check the resistors first. So the ones that are always suspect are these big 5 ohm ones, and also these little guys here. These are supposed to be 47K. This one is 1.8. This one's 1.8K, 120 ohms, and 4.7K ohms. So we'll just test the big ones first. And this one right here, you look on the meter, I got it on there, and I literally have nothing. That one is completely open. This one here, that one is fine. That's 120. That's right on the money. And then this one here is 1.8. That one's on the money too. So this big one right here, this sandstone is out. These little guys right here, these 47s, a couple of them you can't test very well because they're in circuit with a cap. So usually you have to pull an end out of them to get a good test on these. They should test about 47, like you can see on there. Some of them are kind of hard. You can see how the cap is charging, how it's going up. So some of them are, you got to kind of pull the ends in order to get good values. Two out of the 4 you can get good values on. Like this one and this one you can get values on, but that one and that one is always tough because of these caps that are in line. But regardless, this guy's bad, the 4.7. We're going to replace that and see if our 12 volt differential voltage comes back. So you can see the display is now working, and all I did is I replaced this right here in the high voltage section, the 4.7K ohm. Just kind of give you a verification. I wasn't kidding about the 12 volt differential. Let's do this measurement again. So this is the outside orange wire. There's our minus 115, and then the blue wire is now at minus 103. So you see that 12 volt differential? Oops, come on back. Where are you, baby? Come on back. There we go. Minus 103 on the orange wire up here. So that's the 12 volt differential I was talking about. If you don't have that 12 volt differential, it's not going to work. So now that we got that settled, we got the display, we can see what's going on, and clearly factory settings restored. So we know that the batteries indeed did just take a big poop. Oh, here's an interesting little mod. Look, they removed the bridge rectifiers BR1, BR2 from here. Remember, they have the big aluminum heatsink on them, and they moved them up to here and bolted them to the metal grounding plate, and they also use lug style bridges instead of wire style. Why they did that? Maybe they didn't have any wire style bridges when they needed a new bridge. Who the hell knows? I'm not going to change it because it's working. I'm not here to fix things that aren't broken, but it's just kind of a bit of a hack, but it's doing its job. So I just did a remote battery. I kept the board. I don't want to get rid of the board because it's original and whatever. So I just cut the old battery holder off and then put a remote over here. The other thing I noticed is we had a lot of burnt GI. Like if you look right here, the 2 pins on the left here for the back box inserts were smoked. I mean, they were just like killed. Now there's a couple things you can do. I mean, really, you're going to have to repin the male side and the female side. But what I did is a kind of a trick. I'm not necessarily recommending this, but this is what I did, is I cut those 2 wires off clean, and then I reinserted them into this bottom connector, which is the playfield connector. These 2 plugs are wired in parallel. So I just put them over here where these 2 pins were unused. And what that did is it gave me all my general illumination back. So this run up here wasn't working and the one in the middle wasn't working. The only thing that was working is down here. Now another thing I noted that I did that you probably have noticed is that I removed some of the bulbs. Actually, I removed a fair number. I removed about 25% of the bulbs. And the reason I do that is quite simple. Obviously, Williams pushed the connector power limit right to the edge with the number of light bulbs that these connectors could supply power to. And they must have done it just a little too much because it burned the connectors. So if you remove a certain percentage of the bulbs, it really helps reduce the draw on the connectors and the plugs don't burn again. The other thing that I always do in the adjustments, standard adjustments, power saver level. Default is 5. Oops, default is 5. You want it on 4. And then GI power saver set to 2 minutes. Always do that too. And that means after 2 minutes, you'll see the light bulbs will actually dim and they'll start to flicker. And what that's doing is it's power cycling the general illumination. So that also really helps save connectors. But it won't do that during gameplay, and it won't do it obviously for 2 minutes, but you'll see it after 2 minutes. The bulbs will actually dim and they'll flicker a little bit because it's duty cycling them. That really reduces on the draw, but the main thing is remove about, I don't know, 10, 20, even 25% of the bulbs just to kind of bring it down. And when you have the back glass on there, you don't even really notice that it's missing some of the bulbs. It still looks nice and bright. It's plenty bright enough. Anyways, that's the trick of the day. And then we can, Yep, and there we are playing No Fear.